Your memory, here's part of what I had to say earlier that got him all up in a tizzy. Check it out. That's why I'm in the news. I'm not in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here. Damn it, lower than that. Down at the bottom. They suck right now. Horrible. Because they don't have a voice. Where the hell is the voice? And everybody want to sit up there and talk about, we don't need a voice. 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 Well, guess what? Somebody got to send the message. How the hell can somebody receive a message if there's no messenger? In response to what you just saw me saying, that's when Carville evidently lost it, and he went on his Politicon podcast and had this personal message to give to me, even though it was seen by everybody. Take a look.
Okay, I am a big Stephen A. Smith fan. I remember I saw him some years ago on TV. When it comes to politics, he don't know his from a hole in the ground. He's on that running his damn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., you me? I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. But I got news for you, dude. There's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented. So before you start running your mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about, you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. So Stephen A., keep up your on sports. I enjoy it. I like it, but don't make a fool of yourself anymore in talking about politics.
What I find interesting about all of this is that a lot of what James Carville himself has been saying sounds a lot like what the hell I've been saying. But before I get into that, first order of business, sir, do you have to be so rude? Dropping F-bombs and going off like that. I mean, I know that's your nature. I understand that, but let's just say 2 can do that, I mean, if you really wanted to get raw, ain't nobody hiding from that. I could be that way. It's just that my mama taught me to respect my elders. And you are 80 years of age, if I remember correctly. And I'm trying to be respectful, so I'm not going to come at you the way that you came at me. I thought that was completely unnecessary. That's number 1. Number 2, I religiously say I'm no political aficionado. I religiously say I don't know politics like that. I read. I watch the news. I'm a conscientious observer. But I do have to ask you a question, Mr. James Carville, albeit rhetorically. You do know that you're talking to a voter, right? Could that be one of the reasons why y'all lost? Just a thought. Because you sound like one of those old curmudgeons that want things to stay or be the way that they used to be, and you're resentful, harboring an abundance of animosity because you're not being heard. That's not Stephen A. Smith's fault, sir. That's that damn Democratic Party that I was talking about.
Yeah. Big JTV, bruh. Let's talk about it. And guys, let me say this, man. I like covering politics here and there, right? I don't know everything about politics. I'm not a library of political news, right? Even though I don't like CNN is slightly center left, so you can get some news from there. I'm not a big fan of Fox News, but they are a left-wing opinion news outlet. I don't like MSNBC. They are a left-wing, you know what I mean, alleged news outlet. You know what I mean? They are multiple companies that are directed to speak about politics. I'm not going to give you guys some deep political commentary. I'm not going to do that. This is not the place. But if you want to get entertained, if you want to have fun, you better smash that like button and support your boy. Let's have some fun. And the reason I'm even covering this I'm covering any of this is because Stephen A. Smith is replying to James Carville. And if y'all who don't know who James Carville is a political strategist, Democratic commentator who was really, really instrumental in somebody like Bill Clinton winning the presidency twice in the 90s, right? And the context of this was Stephen A. Smith, like it was in the video I put at the beginning of the show, was criticizing the Democratic Party for being so trash and so weak and having no direction that they literally had Stephen A. Smith was polling, meaning that on polls of potential leaders for the Democratic Party in 2028, Stephen A. Smith was in those polls. That people were probably called on their cell phones and asked their opinions, or maybe they got an email say, hey, this is this is a survey we're doing. And people were willing to put their name behind Stephen A. Smith. Why? I believe this is purposeful. I believe that Stephen A. actually wants to be the president. I'm not joking. This is not even conjecture. He may say one thing, but he's talking out both sides of his teeth or his mouth or his ugly receding hairline. And I say this with a huge, ugly, and potentially receding hairline. I'm 29. It is what it is. The fact remains is Stephen A. wants to be president. And the people at Disney, the place that he works at, they're giving him basically a way. They're opening the way. And I saw this kind of happening because the Stephen A. Smith show has leaned heavily into politics the past year. Now, of course, the algorithm, right, is helping that because Stephen A. Smith is not only entertaining, but Stephen A. Smith works for Disney, y'all. ESPN is owned by Disney. You don't think they have back channels and connections to YouTube? Let me tell you something about YouTube. YouTube is algorithmic, man. And some channels are favored more than others, right? And I'm telling you, YouTube has a clear bias. So what's happening is this talk about Stephen A. Smith literally becoming the president, that's not a mistake. Stephen A. Smith has handlers, man. Whoever CIA agent is working with Stephen A. Smith, they're doing a great job because that's what's happening. Now, James Carville is late to the party because he hasn't been essentially fed his, talking points to get in line. Why? Because the Democratic Party, at least how I see it, I'm not American, so I have an outside point of view, is that the Democrat Party literally has no leadership. And even worse than that, sometimes they have very weak leadership. So much so that they got destroyed. And you know what? This is not even disrespect to Kamala Harris because pretty much anybody who went against this version of Donald Trump would have lost. It just depends how bad they would have lost. And Stephen A. Smith is getting into politics because he sees the weakness. James Carville going out there and insulting Stephen A. Smith is another example of the weakness because there's been a routine within the Democratic Party to disrespect and ignore black men. I'm telling you right now, one of the major reasons that Donald Trump won the presidency, and people are not going to talk about this, Donald Trump did really well with black men because not only are black men ignored or even pushed to the side in the Democratic Party, but men in general as a gender are ignored and disrespected in that party. I'm not even playing when I say Stephen A. could actually become president. Y'all think I'm playing. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. But here's the truth. I think he'd actually win as a Republican because truthfully, Stephen A. is actually way more Republican and right-leaning than left. It is what it is. But if he goes on the he could win. That's the crazy part. And James Carville to insult him like that is another reason, like Stephen A said at the beginning of the clip, why the left is losing really bad. Your job as somebody who's a political strategist is actually to find winning tactics. A winning tactic is not disrespecting and cussing out a key demographic for your constituency, meaning black people. Let me tell you something about black people, specifically black men. We may hate on Stephen A, but we watch his products. We listen to him. Is that a good thing? Pretty much no, because he has dumb sports takes and very remedial political takes. But does that change that we find him entertaining and watch him? No, it does not change that. So you're insulting a person with such influence that ESPN is giving him about $20 million a year. Let me tell you something. Saquon Barkley doesn't make as much as Stephen A. And he just won the Super Bowl. I'm telling y'all right now, this was a very dumb move by James Carville. And the fact remains, it just tells you about the era of politics we are right now. Theatrics, smoke and mirrors actually matter more than real policy and real discussions. It's literally a popularity contest. Big JTV, man, get in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about it. I'm out.